All right, we are live. Hello, everybody. Panel,
Hello.
Dave DeMarco, Aron Bicskey, Loulita Gill. I'm Brian Parker. I'm here. Why? Because we want to welcome this new EP that's coming out on November 5th on Tuesday called Hold Me Like You're Home. And I want to just introduce the people in the room here. Everybody wave, say hi. Yeah. All
Hi.
right. David DeMarco, I'm going to start with you. David DeMarco, I should call him David DeMarco Polo, right? Because you and I every day we start our calls going, bro. And I was telling Loulita and Aron this, but there's something about having that constant voice in your life and friend in your life. And David and I go back to what, 2006?
About that, yeah.
When he was consulting me as a young worship leader in New Jersey, trying to figure out how to help a hurting church grow in worship. And he would be flown in from his hometown in Pennsylvania. And well, you wanted to, where do you live specifically?
I live north of Pittsburgh. Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
Western part of Pennsylvania on the opposite side of Philly.
And
yeah.
And do you have a terrible towel?
I do. I have several. All my towels are terrible, by the way.
You guys wouldn't understand that. It's a Steelers thing where they wave terrible towels in the stands. So there you go. But yeah, David has been a mentor, a friend, and he's just got a way of making complex things simple. And you go, oh my gosh, yes. So I really appreciate your voice in my life. And we have these conversations all the time in Marco Polo. And we're like, why don't we just put this in a podcast and talk about our own music? He's a worship leader, songwriter. He's been doing it for 30 years. And he's worked with people like Lincoln Brewster and other people in the industry, and he knows a lot. So I'm very happy to have you here, man. Thank you.
Thank you. It's an honor. Yes.
Loulita Gill and I have known each other pretty much since 2007, I think, when Sam and I were still dating. Funny story, and I'll keep it short, is the day that Sam, my wife, had to go back to England because her student visa expired. She met Loulita the day before she left, said, you live in the same town I do in England? Yes. Why don't you come to my church? And why don't we grow together in our faith? And that was an amazing combination of things that happened. So I really appreciate her being in my wife's life. And she's a singer-songwriter. She sings songs that are so real and so deep, and everybody needs to hear it, and not your cookie cutter Christian stuff. It's like life, human stuff. And I'm so thankful that you're here.
Thanks, Brian.
Aron, what can I say about you? I just love you, man. We've worked on the majority of all of my songs, 13-something songs that we've done from back in 2020 now into 2024. So we've been working strong, and he's sitting in the studio called The Nest that's in his back garden. Double paned windows, beautiful place to just sing your heart out, drum your heart out. And you open the door and he's got this beautiful garden. He's got this brass feel. It's just beautiful. Anyway, if you want to record in a beautiful area, look this guy up. But anyway, he's one of the calmest people for me. As you can hear, I'm just very all over the place. And he's like, nope, we do that. Or he says no to me a lot. But he also is very accommodating, and he does what I ask, even though I think sometimes he's like, all right. And then we go back to his original idea.
That's what I do.
Yeah. So
I love to be right.
But he's done so many things. He's a drummer on tour. You want to talk about what you were just doing with your last project, Aron?
Oh gosh, I'm working with on a couple of things, mixing, producing, finished a whole bunch of gigs over the summer, so there's a bit of a downtime now for about a month, and then it kicks off again. So November, December. Yeah.
So not only is he a great producer, he's a great drummer, and he practices out on his porch with his thing. He's in the morning, and it's just like he's hungry for doing as best as he can. So that's the kind of person we're going to be talking to. All right, about 5-minute introduction, but I wanted to make sure that you guys knew who we're talking to. The reason why they're here for this EP is because Loulita was background vocals for the first 2 tracks. And of course, Aron produced it all. And then I wanted to talk to you, David, before we jump into this. I gave you these songs, and you kind of said something about, what my songwriting does. Talk about what you feel my songs or the songs that are in this EP kind of reflect to you.
I think you have a unique gift that you bring to the body of Christ, actually to the world. and even the worship genre space, but it even goes beyond that. Musically, we talk about appreciating space, but we don't necessarily talk about that in our hearts and in our minds. Many times with songs, we just follow the trail and gloss over it, and especially in the corporate worship setting, we ruminate, and but your songs have a way of holding our feet and our heart to the fire in a warming effect, but also in a melting away effect, where it declutters a lot of things of that tension, where decluttering that tension really, really gives way to an uncovering and an awareness that is a whole different level of ministry. And I believe we need more songwriting and songs like this today. And that's the gift you give us, Brian. I appreciate that.
I didn't mean for you to too loudly try to hear my own, why I'm so great, but I don't know.
No, actually the check, you put enough
Thank you.
zeros on it, so
Yes.
I'm good.
The idea is sometimes you don't know what you give without reflection of other people. And I say that if you don't have anyone in your life that's able to reflect or love your music or love who you are more than yourself sometimes, or be able to define why you're feeling the way you are or what you're doing from the convictions you have. I mean, sometimes it's a lonely place to be an artist and not have that. So that's why I just wanted to say, if you're in that place where you don't have that, please find that, because it doesn't happen on an island as an artist. I also want to say that we want to explore the heart of this EP as a project, as a journey through the complexities of relationships. The first song was written a long time ago with a friend of mine named Carrie Shipman, who I got her permission because we were both in this empty church, where we want to write songs of where we were, because our marriages were kind of in that seventh inning stretch where it was just like, what are we at now? Like, what's going on? And we just wanted to write from a place of, the honeymoon's over. Now we have to really be vulnerable of who we are and not depend on our youthful charm and dating mentality. Like, this is commitment, and it's not always easy. So ultimately, I think that's where this started. And I wanted to put this on an album so bad. And it got to a point where I was with you, Aron. We were trying to find out what kind of album do we want to do. And it was like a potpourri, right? You want to kind of explain a little bit about the discussions we had about how to put a piece together that makes sense, instead of all this like different ideas and trying to find out who I am as an artist?
Well, it was a bit of fireworks.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, I love this, I love that, I also love that.
Mhm.
And then, by the way, I really love this. And then it was just a big sort of rainbow of colors and textures, which I think is cool. Like,
Yeah.
You're the artist and it's your self-expression. And I guess people nowadays listen to more singles than albums. So they cherry pick.
Yeah.
Actually, in a way, it allows artists to be a bit more experimental and not to just hone in on one thing. But you are very sort of, this album needs to have a narrative. It has to have an arch. It has to have a story. So you're particular. I mean, the amount of time you spent on finding the right order of the songs, because you were just so adamant that this has to tell a story, which I love. I'm pretty old school like that. I love the whole put on a record and then just listen through it.
Yeah.
As the artist intended it to, and take me on a journey.
We don't have that as much anymore. And you know what's funny is I spent probably days, weeks, months trying to figure out what order, and I said, you know what, and I'm just gonna put them out as singles.
Oh, there's another email from Brian. There's another track list.
But here's the thing, bringing us back to Hold Me Like You're Home, is these three songs go together. And it's going to be like, I was thinking about relationships, like I said, with your spouse, with your significant other, with God, with ourselves. So you're looking at relationship, someone else's relationship, and just me. And where that all combines in this kind of crazy world to feel secure, just to be set free from things that hold us down, whether it's anxiety, self-doubt, addictions or attachments. And when you came into the scene, Loulita, what was the thought for you? Like
I
knowing the
think
song intensity and knowing that you were going to come in and sing these songs about relationships. You did a song with Aron called Will You that kind of dealt with a similar, if you haven't heard that, Will You by Loulita Gill and Aron Bicskey. It's amazing. But yeah, talk about what you were going into the studio and feeling before we get into these things.
I think probably because I've been married for like 14 years now, and and obviously been a believer for a very long time. Relationships are really, they go through different phases and different seasons, and yeah, like when your initial honeymoon period, although I can't really say that me and Joe had a honeymoon period because because there's so much like complexities around the beginnings of our own relationship. But when you kind of settle into a rhythm of what marriage is and what relationships are, they go through like different seasons. And I don't know, when I was like drawn into this project, I felt very privileged to be part of it. But also just, I could really identify with the songs. Like I could really identify with the lyrics, and I could identify with what I was singing. So it made it so personal for me as well. It wasn't just about like being a BV on a track. It was actually engaging with a song and actually engaging with the story and the challenge of what relationships bring into our lives. So yeah, I felt hugely privileged that you would even ask me to be part of it. So
your voice sounds so good on it, and you go low.
Sure does.
You go low. Low. I just like, dude, she can go high and low. Like you have such a beautiful range. So I'm honored to have you on it.
That's all because of Aron, really. Because
Aaron,
stop.
Okay.
No, it is because
deflection.
It's because I didn't really realize I could sing so low, and
Oh, I get what you're saying. I thought you like auto tune or something.
It's a plugin. It's the Barry White plugin.
AI.
So I really enjoy singing, like using my lower range now, which I never really did before. So yeah, it was fun. It was so fun to sing on these tracks as well. I loved it.
Yeah, and the phrasing, I have to say, my phrasing is a little bit all over the place. The way I pronunciate words and to make them rhyme. Sometimes it's hard to kind of mimic that, and so I appreciate your helping me get to that final result. Okay, so now that we've done that, I'm going to go ahead and play each song. So if you're just about to tune out, don't, because we're going to listen to the songs. We're going to stop it and start it. We're going to talk about the moments, the vulnerability, what the lyrics mean to you. If you have any thoughts of your own, please put a comment in the bottom wherever the comments go, so that we can kind of engage in what's going on in your life and how we can all relate to what God's doing in these relationships, the complexities and the ups and downs that we all go through. So last open forum before we jump into that. David, do you have any last thoughts before we jump in?
Yeah, Aron was talking about, these days it's all about the single. This is an EP. It's a collection of 3 songs, and how music has gone more towards the single. We live such in a day and age of everything's in bites, quick bites, and life happens in context, right? And so many times we can get caught up in the microisms, in the micro level of life, that we miss the big picture. And that's what these songs are birthed out of. And because context is everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
So again, these songs, they're connected to one another, but they also have such depth of context, even in that short amount of 3 minutes, which again, not just from a songwriting perspective, but as a producer, man, what am I bringing here to make the most out of these 3.5, 4 minutes? It's one thing to be a communicator and give a message, quite another to be eloquent and say so much in so little time and in a way where people can hear and understand. So I'm excited to listen to this first song.
And sometimes it's all about the question that you're asking, not about the statement you're making. For example, Will You is a song, right? You'll notice the first song here, which we'll get into, Hold Me Like You're Home, starts out with a very simple question that sounds very familiar. It might have been the first question after the fall of man is, where are we? Where are you? And that's kind of the idea of this whole project. I'm going to share the screen right now, and we're going to get into it. This is the way, if you want to back in, this is the way that every time I see this color in the screen and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to sit down and make notes of all of the things that I want. Or this is how Aron shares the songs with us through Mix Up. And it's like, oh, it's here. I get to listen to it, you know? So anyway, it's kind of a full circle. So here it is, the final, but this is Hold Me Like You're Home, the first track on this. So let me get it up and we'll get started. Hold Me Like You're Home.
Where are we? Where did we go? Do you love me now that the dust settled? Can't hear you anymore. And where is my voice? Would you choose me again if you had the choice? So much
Nice harmony.
to find, to set our souls on fire. Hold me tight, hold me like you are home.
It's very raw.
Show me that your love
There's that low note right there.
is still my own.
I love that.
I love how
melody.
the song starts. Yeah, I love how the song starts. We just get right into it. It's like, let's talk.
So we just started out kind of a small little sample at the beginning, right? And it's, what are your first thoughts? I know you have something on the top of your head. Let's just start it that way.
I like how
David.
stripped.
Oh, go ahead, Aron. Sorry.
I like how stripped it is. I mean, it's kind of like the whole EP is that sort of direction. It's just very bare and exposed,
Yeah.
just like relationships.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to hide really. There's no bells and whistles and big wall of sounds. It's just you and your guitar.
And you know that I don't like that
And you don't,
because
yeah.
it's vulnerable. And I always say, put a pad behind that or put something going. And they're going to be bored. I want to come on. Let's put a little beat bump in the back or a little like, you know, lo-fi chunk. And he's like, all right. And he does it. And like, then I get David DeMarco and he's like, no, you need to have the raw, man. Just do nothing. And I'm like, oh, okay. But that's vulnerability, right? Talking
High five,
about
Dave. High five.
I was like, man, you need to get naked.
Yeah.
You need to, you know, you're asking a question. Where are we? Where did we go? And the reference to me is immediately takes me to Genesis when God asked Adam, well, where are you?
Mhm.
You know, and it wasn't like God didn't know where Adam was. It wasn't like he couldn't find Adam. Adam couldn't find himself at that time. So this is an obvious question, but something not obvious is going on underneath, and how this song just begins to, from the get-go, it pulls you in and it just unravels the story and unravels you and your relationships. It's great.
It's a genuine question. I mean, do you love me now that the dust has settled? I think was the line that made me keep going with it because, yeah, you kind of think of it's bare. Everything's settled. Everything's still. There's nothing. There's no frills. There's no confetti in the air anymore, you know? And it's just the party's over technically. And that's how you feel, but it's just beginning. Anything else that comes to mind when you the first part of that before we get into the second verse?
I just love the line, would you choose me again if you had the choice? You know? It's like when you're in the thick of it and you're going through some tough times, would you choose me again if you had the choice?
And our first
Yes.
thought as insecure people is they'd say no.
Yeah. I mean, I've asked Joe that question.
I've been asked that question.
And he said absolutely he would choose me again, and I
Yeah.
would choose him again, so it's
Yeah.
but the insecure side of you, and the side of you that feels very vulnerable and very exposed in those moments where somebody's seeing you for who you are,
Yeah.
there's no pretense, you're you.
Yeah.
Warts and all, good days, bad days, would you choose me again if you had the choice? So,
And I asked-
really powerful line.
I asked God that too. Like, would you die on the cross again if you had the choice? And there's a song by Third Day a long time ago called Love Song. He said,
Mhm.
and I promise you I would do it all again. And I don't know if that's scriptural. I think that might be very emotional, but the idea that someone would say, even in all of your imperfections and not the expectation I had of where we would be, I still say yes and choose you, So I love that too. Thank you for bringing that up. All right, let's go into the second part. Now we got a comment a long time ago, Loulita, when we shared this song.
Yeah.
How dare you repeat the same words in the second verse? Why do you think it's important sometimes to stick with something and repeat it again? That's just for the panel.
I don't know. I think it's a reinforcing of an idea, but it's also like you're asking the question, I'm asking the question. Do you know what I mean? It's like we're both asking the question.
Yes.
So I don't see an issue with repeating a verse.
And if you
I
think
think-
about it too, it goes up. We go, where are we? And
Yeah.
the second, where are we? It hits,
Yeah.
it goes high, it goes up. It's a lift up. Even
Yeah.
if it seems dim or grim, you're in a place where it's like, oh wait, we're going somewhere, but we might be in the same place, but we're going somewhere else. So
It's also like a cry, isn't it? When it goes up.
and harmonies
like
too, changing.
It's like the desperation gets desperate.
Yes. Yeah. How many songs do you have, Dave, where you repeat the same verse?
Oh, a lot of them, especially when I was writing corporate worship stuff.
Mhm.
When I do that, and just what Loulita said, you're reinforcing the question, the idea. When we write, we are also teachers, and we're either teaching or presenting new beliefs, or we're strengthening existing ones. So I love when hey, let's take this walk around this park again. Let's take another lap here, because there's different scenery that we may have missed the first time around.
Yeah. Well, let's listen to the second part now and see if we find anything else.
Where are we? And where did we go? Do you love me now that the dust settled? I can't hear
Great job,
you
Loulita.
anymore. Where is my voice? Would you choose me again if you had the choice? So
I really like,
much
Aaron, your choice of vocal effects
to
here. Lots of verb. We're lost, we're trying to find our way. Excellent.
our souls on fire, as if it was the last time. Hold me tight, hold me like you were home. Show me that your love is still my own.
That string.
Can we make it out?
Wow.
All right. So we got to the crescendo. Oh, no, it's crescendo, isn't it? Now that we repeated it again, what came out now that we've heightened it? Did anything else pop out that you didn't really hear the first time?
I guess it's almost like it's a different verse, just because the feel is so different.
Yeah.
It's one of those that you can say the same thing with desperation, or you can say the same thing with absolute deflation,
Oh, well put.
and it means completely different things
That's
in
so
the same
good.
word. So I don't I never actually put it together that it's the same verse in my head.
Yeah, same. I
Never
didn't.
plot it that it's the same lyrics, but of course it is. But it's a repeat, but it's not a repeat.
I mean, if Blur can go woohoo over and over and over again, I'm pretty sure you can do the same verse twice. Come on.
Yeah, you're allowed.
I don't know where that song.
I never noticed it was the second. I never noticed it was not a different verse as well. To be honest, like when we were recording it, it just felt so completely different the second time. So
there's something about the lift of when you
Yeah.
kind of have. I've heard maybe back in the old 80s, or when you had those duets, like I'm never gonna let you go, hold you in my arms forever. Those kind of songs where they would just hold your body next and go higher and higher, and it just keep going. And I think maybe I'm channeling a little bit.
Yeah.
But so anything else that came to mind, Dave, while you're looking over it?
For one thing, it felt like the lyrics and the arrangement and the production were they were coming together as it was lifting and escalating. And it musically, I went from with the verb and the space of, hey, we're lost here, but the journey of coming together, of holding me tight and hold me like you were home, which is wholeness, right? Which what we're always walking through and journeying our worlds and our relationships to the goal of wholeness. So that's what really, really brought me along. And the lift was, oh, I'm getting closer. I can see it now. It's coming near. Home is wholeness. And I'll never forget when I was dating my wife, and I might get choked up here, but I said to her, when I'm with you, I don't feel broken.
Wow.
And this just, it grabbed a hold of me. Hold me like you're home. Hold me like
You're whole.
you're whole.
Wow.
I should have called "Hold Me Like You're Whole." That's pretty dang cool. I love, Aron, the string arrangement, because
Yeah, beautiful.
Wow.
it's like
Just incredible.
I've always wanted to have a song that soared through transition. And when we say my own, the strings da da da, I'm gonna rewind that so we can hear it really quick. I think you're gonna see where I'm coming from here.
Still my own. Can we make it out? All right. We're shattered 'cause we thought we were united. Now we're miles apart from where we started, but we're one step away.
One step.
Ease the pain as if it was the last time. Hold me tight. Hold me like you are home.
All right. I hate to stop it because it's so beautiful.
There's this thing where I like to do opposites. So the song is quite moody, quite dark, but then injecting a bit of Disney in it.
Whole new world.
The contrast. Yeah.
Yeah, it does that thing where you like, it's almost like you're in half day's dream when it shouldn't feel the way it feels. But the strings are like really good for like in this situation. It was a really good tool to bring a bit of film or that fuzzy warm feeling in the sort of semi doom and gloom
Yeah. I mean,
of a
there's
relationship. There's always there's always comes something that brighten things up,
yeah.
ideally and hopefully, even in the midst of going through difficulties, and it's a bit of a homage to that.
Sings to my heart.
I guess it also brings a feeling of hope as well,
Yeah.
because you're asking, can we make it out all right? We're shattered because we thought we were united. Now we're miles apart from where we started, but we're actually just one step away to ease the pain. So it's like the strings just make it feel so hopeful.
Yeah,
Like-
optimism. There's optimism through the song.
Yeah, like we're
That
gonna
is
get
awesome.
through this.
To have a song, because I grew up listening to the alternative stuff, and Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness was an album that I listened to, and it was so dark but so hopeful.
Mm.
And I think you always try to strive for that album that you listened to when you were a kid that changed your life. And this is Tonight by the Special. Like, believe in me as I believe in you. Like, there's that soaring, into the abyss with those strings. And I never connected it until now. That's amazing. But yeah, can we make it out all right? We're shattered because we thought we were united. How many people today you think feel like everything's fine, we're good, until we're all of a sudden one day we're like, someone says something to you, you're like, what, for 20 years you felt this way? And now we're miles apart from where we started. But the idea is, if we get help, if we just make that first step, we're one step away to ease whatever was done, right? And then start the next chapter as if it was the last time. I wanted to say first time there, but still I wanted to live every day as if it was our last, right? And it makes the decision making a lot more easy for me. If this could be my last day, of course I'm going to forgive you. Of course I'm going to, jump into it. So I just really am in love with that bridge. In fact, I'm going to listen to it again with you. Give me a second.
Can we make it out? Alright. We're shattered 'cause we thought we were united. Now we're miles apart from where we started, but we're one step away to ease the pain, as if it was the last time. Hold me tight, hold me like you are whole.
Desperation. Love it.
No more nights comfortable on our own. Oh, baby, hold me tight, hold me like you are whole. Show me that you're loved. Don't tell me that you're loved. Show me that your love is still my own.
Wow.
Beautiful.
I love how your voices work so well together.
Yeah.
Both of you had very recognizable voice. Like, you hear it, that's Loulita, that's Brian. To put them together,
The synergy is.
it creates
Wow.
such a great texture. Almost, the song doesn't need much more than that, really,
Mm.
because it just feels the spectrum.
Wow.
It's really beautiful. Love it.
Don't you love when these kind of things just work?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we met in New York. Like, hey, you want to help me out here? I'm going to be in England. Yeah, let's make it happen. Like, those connections and those dots don't just happen. It's not like we have all this money
Right.
to just say, hey, let's hire. You flew me in from where? Remember? Like, the idea is that God is working in the smallest details. And I really feel like if this song is going to serve anything, not just the production and the creation of it, but now we're hopeful that with our combination and our giftings and the words and this conversation, can bring the full impact of what the song really means. And it could be beyond what I intended, right? But I really feel like there's something here to start the conversation. So last thoughts on that last bit before we move into the next podcast for Confuse Me Again. What title?
I like the ending statement you use before you get to the chorus and the tag again. No more nights comfortable on our own. The end of the independence and the mornings and new days of interdependence. Back to wholeness.
Yeah.
I thought that was very, very well done. Well tied with a beautiful bow there.
Thank you. I kind of feel like that's when I said that, I didn't believe it to be possible, if that makes sense, because I want my space sometimes. Let's be honest. I don't want someone just all over me all the time. We all want our own, but the idea is, I guess what you're saying, David, is that there's this, I wrote another song called Come Away, which really kind of matches this idea, is like, let me be your rest. How many times have we felt like I'm okay, you're okay? No, if that's the case, we're not okay. We need to be okay, right? And it doesn't have to be this over obsessive, like attachy, weird, like always have to be around each other almost till you're sick. But but there is a desperation to kind of feel like you have a place to call home with the person that should love you the most. And I think that's a pretty decent way to kind of bring it up, at least. And then I, of course, always put this to my relationship with God. He sings this to me all the time. Don't be comfortable. I want to be your rest. No more nights comfortable or going away from me, just to kind of get your breath from me. Like I'm your shelter, And so we always seek that in a person, and then we always are mistaken that they're not perfect. And now it says, like, that's why we need God, and that's why God is such a no-brainer to me, So any other thoughts?
That's a good song. God, you're a no-brainer.
Hold on. God, you're a no-brainer.
There's a title there.
Sounds like a good old.
Sounds like a kid's song.
God, you're a no-brainer. No-brainer. God, you're a no. Get the tambourines out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like.
Make it happen.
All right. Next project. All right. Thank you guys for enjoying that first song of the 3-song EP, and now we'll move on to track 2.